Jai. The lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. Do not shirk your responsibilities. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but keep always at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. When you feel happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely. Baba has placed me in this situation. With the understanding that Baba is everyone, try to help and serve others. I say with my divine authority to each and all that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Dar Meher Baba ki jai. Thanks, Ravi. Um, so, so where are we? We are. We missed you a couple of weeks again. You're the what should I say? Guy that floats in and floats out. Ravi.
He's he's
Yeah.
the rare
When
he's the
I
rare
am
one.
whenever I'm home, I would certainly attend. Something or other comes up, so I'm not home
Weekends.
during the times. Yeah, weekends busy.
Bu- Busier because they know you're free now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So good. So where are we? We are doing avatars and perfect masters. We finished the avatar and the circle. We're starting with the circles of the avatar, followed by true discipleship, ways of the master, and then the three parts on the man god. So let's start with circles of the avatar. Let's just check what's in that. Uh, oh, I don't have the items for essence on the chapter for whatever reason. So let me just go and read it in the book itself. Or maybe there are no, yes, there are no subtitles. Okay. So I think this talks about the circles alone. It's a small chapter. So let's dive straight in. Yeah. Any volunteers to read?
Yeah, I'll read Karthik.
Jai Baba, please start.
Avatar Mere Baba ki Jai. The circles of the Avatar. Absolute oneness prevails in reality. Space and time are but illusory. They are merely the effect of the reflection of God's infinitude. When man realizes reality, the reflection that has estranged him from reality vanishes, and he experiences the absoluteness of the absolute oneness of God. And when such a one continues to live his life in illusion, he leads the life of a man God, or perfect master on earth. With his abiding experience of the absolute reality, he serves as the pivot around which rotates the entire cosmic universe. Every point in the cosmos is equidistant from the perfect master who abides in illusion as the nucleus of the cosmos. Although the perfect master remains in illusion as the center of the cosmic periphery and radiates his influence uniformly over the entire universe, in his lifetime he gathers around him 12 men who directly have their center of interest in his individuality. These men, through their constant and close association with him in the past, right from the earliest evolutionary stages of consciousness, reap the greatest benefit now when their past close associate has become a perfect master. Such a group of 12 men is called the circle of a perfect master. Such a group of 12 men is called the circle of the perfect masters. However, besides this group of 12 men, there is an appendage of two women to complete the circle of a perfect master in all its aspects. These two women also owe their position in regard to the circle to their past connection with the perfect master. One or more of these 14 close ones associated with the perfect master realize the God state during or after the lifetime of the raise it up here, of the perfect master, and in some instances after one or a few more reincarnations. However, the perfect master fulfills his obligation by establishing his circle during his lifetime, and the greatest good he bestows is God realization with all its perfection to at least one from his circle.
So just to pause a little bit. So there's all of them get reincarnation, I mean, God realization during or after the lifetime of the perfect master, and some of them after a few more incarnations, but then at least one gets it when he is alive. Is that what is being said?
Yeah, I think it says at least one uh, from the
During
circle
his lifetime.
in his lifetime he gets. So this is like a you're getting closer to God realization if you are in the circle.
So out of the 14, one in the before 1969, 13 are within a few births or just after he drops his body.
It
Is that
says minimum. It could be more than one also.
More than one, yeah.
That's, I think, the key word here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, at least one. Yeah, correct.
Actually, today I happened to listen to, I think his name is Merwan Merchant in the Mandalay Hall talks. If you have a chance, listen to that. He was talking about the plater, Kaikushru, Jamshadji Plater. You know whom I'm talking about, right? He was one of the Mandalay. Um, so Baba gives him a task when all these musks were collected and housed in, is this Lonwala? Is it Lonwala or Toka? Somewhere, anyway. So Baba gives him a task of making them a play directed by Plater about Raja Chand. What Chand was that? I forgot the name.
Harishchandra.
Huh?
Harishchandra.
No, not Harish Chand.
Not Harishchandra.
No, Raja.
Jaichand,
Is it Jaichand?
No.
Raja
but go
Chand.
on.
Anyway,
But
yeah.
go on.
Anyway, so Pleader does a great job, and after the that play was over, the curtain was supposed to come down, and Baba says, "Wait, stop." So Baba goes onto the stage and hugs Pleader, and Peter was so happy. And in that moment, Baba comments that you reach God realization.
Ah,
So
okay.
he says that, he says that, and then somebody, I remember the American Voice. I remember, but I forgot. I was not able to connect that voice who asked this question there, kind of spaced out. But he asked, "So, are you saying that you reach the God realization at that time?" And Merwan Merchant says, "Yes, but he was veiled to be a normal person to do the avataric work." This is the comment I heard just this about an hour ago. I was really surprised at that. This is the first time I'm listening to that. So if you any of you have time, please listen to that. This is Mandalay Hall Talks. merchant, Mervan
Mervan.
merchant. Yeah, he talks about the player. There was like two talks about him. So please listen and confirm whatever I'm saying. Jai Baba.
Please share the
Thank you.
link on the group.
Well,
Huh?
it's the Mandri Hall talks, so you can find
Yeah,
it.
only
And he's
talks.
giving all the references. Marwan
Yeah,
Merwan Merchant, and there are two of the talks. So one of them is the one
yeah,
with the circle reference. Thanks, Ravi.
yeah. Jai
Okay,
Baba.
yeah,
Shall I continue?
please.
In the case of the avatar, it is different. He has 10 circles in all, as shown in the accompanying diagram. The first inner circle of the avatar consists of 12 men with an appendage of 2 women, and each of the following 9 outer circles consists of 12 persons, both men and women. In all, there are 120 persons in the 10 circles of the avatar, plus 2 women of the inner circle who are but appendages to that particular 122 in all. One or more of the 108 members of the 9 outer circles realize the God state during or after the lifespan of the avatar, and some in the next incarnation or after a few more incarnations. As in the case of Perfect Master Circle, the, the inner circle of the avatar consists of only 12 men with an appendage of 2 women. The difference between the circle of the perfect master and the inner circle of avatar is that the perfect master establishes his circle from among those who were closely connected with him right from the earliest evolutionary stages of their consciousness. But the avatar in his recurrent advents does not pass through the process of evolution, reincarnation, and involution. Therefore, he does not have the same links of association to establish anew his inner circle with every advent. In short, whereas the perfect master establishes his circle, the avatar is directly allied with his inner circle, which is always the same in all his advents. With his descent on earth, the avatar, as it were, brings along with him the association of his inner circle. The connection,
Let's just see the circle. I mean, it's a simple diagram, but just so the innermost circle is 12 men and the appendage, as the word is used, 2 women, 8 women and 4 women in the second outer circle, and then it's 4 men and 8 women in the third outer circle, and then it alternates between that. Well, it just does not alternate. There is there's 6 men and 6 women in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th circle. And then there's 10 men and 2 women again in the last of the 12 circles, right? So just showing you that. Okay.
the connection of the inner circle in relation to the avatar may be compared to that of a person who associates himself with 14 parts of his own body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, 2 hands, 2 legs, the genitals, the anus, and the trunk of the body itself. As soon as an individual is born, he directly makes use of these 14 parts of his body, and these parts in turn respond to his dictates individually or collectively. Similarly, with the advent of the avatar on earth, his inner circle of the same 12 individualities and the appendage of the same 2 individualities directly begin to function individually and collectively according to the dictates of the avatar himself. With every advent, with every advent of the avatar on earth, the 12 men of the inner circle and his appendants of two women gather around the personality of the avatar as the self same 14 types of individualities. These 14 different individualities in the shape of different personalities always occupy their respective offices whenever the avatar manifests on earth. And during and after the lifespan of the avatar, they individually and collectively function in the same way as their predecessors, who had held and functioned in the same offices of the inner circle during the past advents of the avatar.
So the one who got realized gets omitted, right? So there has to be a new entry, correct?
Uh, Data insufficient to make that assumption.
So because he's saying it's the same circle moves with the avatar.
Understood, but
But maybe
I
this
would
is for
imagine they
avatar.
would come
This
back.
is for avatar. This is for
Correct, this is for
avatar.
Avatar.
And that was for perfect masters. Maybe. Yeah.
So Avatar, I think
Yeah.
they come back. They come back
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same
So
crew,
that's
irrespective
the
of God
difference. What
realization,
we
they
read,
come back.
yeah, what we read before was for the perfect masters. This is for
Correct,
avatar. Okay, Jay
correct.
Baba. Sorry.
Yeah, but
No, no, Jay Baba, hello.
yeah,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If
Yes,
we
yes.
go to the next,
Welcome.
see if you go to the next paragraph, look, I think you have to be very careful that the perfect master establishes a circle. The avatar is directly allied with this inner circle, which is always the same in all his advents. With his descent on earth, the avatar, as it were, brings along with him the association of his inner circle. But then, if you go to the next paragraph, it says his inner circle of the same 12 individualities and the appendage of the same two individualities directly begin to function individually and collectively according to the dictates of the avatar himself. So the example that he has given of the avatar is compared to a person who associates himself with 14 parts of his own body, which means that whenever the avatar comes, his 12 plus 2 have the same functional responsibilities. But each time the avatar comes with a different soul consciousness. That is very important to understand, that the 12 plus 2 who come with the avatar in the inner circle basically have the same functions or responsibilities as it was with previous avatars. But they don't have to be connected with the avatar as like a perfect master, because the perfect master has his inner circle who have been the full chapter, then we'll understand the.
Okay, the last 10 seconds, your audio was not at all clear, but I think you said
I think he's
read
trying
the
to
paragraph.
say, yeah, offices are same. I think those are the terms that you are used in discourses. Offices are same, but different individuals, different souls at different avatars. Right, Kama? Are you there?
Right. Correct. Exactly. Correct.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, what was the question, Sanjay ji? What was the question you had to start with?
He had a question that he took back. So the question was around do the same people come back? And then yes, they do if it is avatar. But then, as Kama clarified, it is the function that's
Yeah, it's the office. Yeah.
it's the office,
Not the same people, not the same personalities. Yeah, different drop souls. Yeah.
So can we allude that it is like an organization chart, and then where of course avatar is common, and the others uh, they can be different individuals, but their function is same.
Yeah. See, Baba mentioned in the last days, Bhavakalchi was like a John for Christ. Irich was like a Peter to Christ. He mentioned that in those last days.
Yeah, I think Peter I have heard I've seen the reference. John, I haven't. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, John Baba used to say that all the time. Yeah, he was like a John.
Nice.
Kama, would you corroborate that what I said, or
Uh,
somebody?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ashok?
I said it's like an organization chart where the avatar is coming in every advent, but the functions, the function of that 12 people, 14 people is same in every
Yeah,
advent.
yeah, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember to have read the same reference exactly, but Baba
See,
alluded to that. Similarly, Gustaji was representing dark side. That's what he mentioned, and Gustaji was making a big hue and cry. Oh my God, I'm representing dark side. When he came to know, Baba said, "Don't worry, you don't even know what it is." So these people, even though they're representing it, somebody asked when Bauji came to Chicago, somebody asked, do you know that you're a circle member? And Bauji said, I don't know. Baba never said that to me if I'm a circle member or not. And the next question was, suppose you are a circle member, are you doing any of the work? We are, we don't know what we are doing. We are doing is serving Baba and being obedient to him. Whatever he says, we would just do that. That's all
I
he
think
said. No,
I think the
yeah.
next paragraph which we read is going to throw some light on that. Shall I start?
please.
With every advent of the
Jay
avatar,
Baba, one second. I think to answer your question, Ashok, about the 14 different personalities, 12 plus 2, that is part of the divine theme. See, the whole God speaks, as we understand, there is a theme in creation, which means there is a prescripted framework. And in this framework, every time the avatar comes, there has to be this 12 plus 2 inner circle, 12 males and 2 women, and their functions remain the same. They are individual personalities with functions, respective functions, but also individual. Because Baba said, each time
Gone. Your
some of
audio is
them
gone.
got realized during his advent.
Are you moving?
sorry,
Can you
Kama,
try again?
audio
Yeah,
is
can you try
in
again, Kama?
Yes. Can you hear me now? Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
We can hear you a part of it, but at
Hello?
the end, you were kind of diminishing.
Right. Now, let me repeat that again. That what I was saying is that to answer Ashok's question, the divine theme of creation, there is a prescripted framework which remains the same every avataric advent, wherein basically the avatar has the inner circle of 12 males and 2 females as part of his inner circle. Now, each of the circle members, inner circle members, have particular functions, just like we have in a corporate thing, marketing, human resources, and so on. So each of the circle members, inner circle members of the avatar, has a particular function which keeps repeating every avataric advent. The only difference is the functions remains the same, but the individual souls who take up that responsibility at different avataric advents are different. Because we know that the inner circle will get self-realized within 1 or 2 incarnations. So they are not going to come back. So definitely, logically speaking, every time the avatar comes, there will be new souls, individual souls, who are also in the process of God realization, but their functions will remain the same. The inner circle, you know,
Correct, correct.
the-
Right. Basically, the org structure remains the same. The people change as in any corporate world, corporate organization. So that
that
what
is
Ashok was
exactly
saying
what
is
I
correct.
was.
Yeah, Baba.
Sanjay, that is exactly what I was had in
Right.
mind. And thanks for clarification. Shall I continue? With with
Yeah,
every act
please.
of the avatar on earth, the 12 men of the inner circle and its appendage of 2 women gather around the personality of the avatar as the self same 14 types of individuals. These 14 different individualities, in the shape of different personalities, always occupy their respective offices whenever the avatar manifests on earth. And during and after the lifespan of the avatar, they individually and collectively function in the same way as their predecessors, who had held and functioned in the same offices of the inner circle during the past advents of the avatar.
So this is definitively, I mean, unambiguously clear here. They individually and collectively function in the same way as their predecessors. Predecessors clearly refers to somebody who held this in the past. Successor, predecessor, right? So that's it's a
Yeah, yeah.
unambiguous clarity to the point that it's different people, same roles. So analogy of same CEO, new org chart, same titles and same roles, but then he fires the old team, gets the new team.
Absolutely. And it's further clarified in the next paragraph.
Go ahead.
Therefore, it would not be wrong to say that with the Christ coming again, come Peter, Judas, and his apostles. But this can never mean that the very same Peter or the self same Judas reincarnate again and again. They can never reincarnate as all of them, as all of the individual personalities of the avatar's inner circle attain God realization in every avataric period, either during or soon after the lifespan of the avatar. Once God realization is attained, reincarnation is impossible. The only exception to this rule is the avatar himself, who comes again and again to redeem humanity. It is not the same individualized personalities of the inner circle that reincarnate. It is the individualities of their particular offices that come with every advent of the avatar. It is because in all the avatars, advents, each of the 12 men and 2 women of the inner circle hold exactly the same office and function in exactly the same manner that it is said the avatar always brings with him the same circle. As soon as the veil with which the avatar descends on earth is rent by the then living perfect master or masters, and the avatar realizes his avatarhood, the 12 men and 2 women automatically group around the personality of the avatar to occupy their respective positions in the inner circle and function as usual according to the dictates of the avatar of the age. The position of the avatar in regard to the inner circle and its function may be compared to a person asleep. As soon as he is made to wake up through some external agency, the individual spontaneously finds that all the 14 parts of his body, as mentioned before, are already there in their individual roles, ready to function at his slightest wish. Similarly, as soon as the avatar is made to realize his avatarhood through one or two or more of the 5 perfect masters of the time, he also realizes that the 14 personalities in their characteristic roles of the inner circle are ready at hand to discharge their duties. To explain in detail why only these 14 particular personalities hold such positions in every advent of the avatar, take a volume of explanation. Who can become the 14 members And how do they become attached to the inner circle of the avatar? These questions would require yet more volumes of explanation. Suffice it to say that each of these 14 particular personalities, when occupying the office and function of the inner circle, not only must resemble the characteristic individuality of his or her predecessor in the previous advent of the avatar, but, but must be exactly similar in all respects. For example, one of the offices of the inner circle of Jesus Christ was held by Peter. At the second advent of the Christ, this particular office must be held by another Peter, who may be named A, but who has the same qualities of mind and heart and other characteristics as the Peter. The same applies to the offices held by Judas, John, James, and so forth of the inner circle in the time of Jesus Christ. All 14 members of the Avatar's inner circle realize God by the grace of the Avatar during the same Avataric period, which is of 100 years duration after the manifestation of the Avatar on earth. Regarding the outer circles of the Avatar, none of the 108 persons in the 9 circles hold any office similar to that held by those of the inner circle. All of these 108 persons attain God realization by the grace of the Avatar, but not necessarily during the Avataric period. These 108 persons of the outer circles have their respective places in the 9 circles in accordance with their past connections with the members of the circle ahead of them. For example, members of the second circle of 12 persons next to the inner circle are grouped around the avatar in accordance with their past connections with the members of the inner circle. Similarly, the 12 persons of the third circle next to the second circle are grouped around the avatar in accordance with their past connections with the members of the second circle and so on with all the remaining 7 circles.
Okay, so that's the circles of the avatar. So any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, even though Baba here and there mentioned who are all in the circle, I was reading the book Harry by Harry Moore. Baba told him when he visited Myrtle Beach in Lagoon Cabin that he was the circle member, Harry Moore.
Okay.
And I heard from there is Peter Nordine's talk on circles. It is there in Monthly Hall Talks. A very good talk on circle members. I heard that what's it, William Donkin, right? You mentioned to William Donkin that he was the circle, and indirectly he mentioned that Peter Urich was like Peter, and Bauji was like a John. And I heard from some other speaker that he read in the Lord Meher somewhere that all the 4 ladies who were in the new life were in the circle. I don't know what it means, but in the circle. These are all some of the people that I've been watching, where Baba said, who are the circle members? These are the members I found. Jai Baba.
Okay. As you find any good Baba content, please put it on the discussion groups. But as I say, we live in a world where there's too many stimuli. So make everything contextual. Please tell us what you like there. Please tell us what to look for in what you share. Because everybody shares, but then context will make it more relevant and more likely to be seen, right? So if you tell you. Thanks for sharing those two thoughts on the Mandley Hall talks on Merwan Merchant. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Vidyavati also mentioned in her book that Baba mentioned Dr. Neelu was in the circle too, I think.
Okay. Great. So let's get to the next chapter in this theme, that is true discipleship. So we finished circles of the avatar, and now we go to a broader definition of the followers, which is disciples. So the chapter is true discipleship. So let's just read the subtopics that are going to get covered in this. Discipleship is a vital bond. Love constitutes core of discipleship. Supreme claim of the master. We'll see what that is. All love leads to master, as in story of of Majnun and Laila. Purification through love and surrender. Value of faith. Then there is story of Kalyan. Master realized by serving him. Sharing work of the master, allegiance to the master, and cases of conflict. I think it's not gases. Meaning of true discipleship is the last subtitle, right? So let's jump straight in. Sanjay ji, would you be able to read?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful chapter. Happy to read.
Absolutely. If I remember, this is the one we started with in our first reading of uh, Discourses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start from here.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Discipleship, a vital bond. When an aspirant becomes voluntarily affiliated with a master, he is said to have become a disciple. But if this affiliation is merely formal, it does not constitute true discipleship. The relationship between disciple and master is utterly different. For example, from the legal relations that create rights and liabilities through verbal transactions or formal agreements. Discipleship is one of the fundamental features that characterize the life of the advanced aspirant, and it does not come into existence through any artificial procedure. It arises out of the basic laws of spiritual life. It is therefore much more significant than the mundane relations that arise within the context of ordinary social life as a result of incidental associations or temporary contracts. Many of these mundane relations do not enter into the spiritual fabric of the life of the aspirant, but remain superficially attached to his being. Thus, it is not of any great consequence whether you purchase the thing from a shopkeeper or another, as long as you pay the price for it. But it is immaterial whether you travel by one ship or another, so long as you arrive at your destination. Even such transactions are no doubt inwardly determined by sanskaric ties and karmic laws, and therefore are not entirely devoid of spiritual significance. But these relations are in their very nature provisional and superficial, and are in no way comparable to the vital bond of discipleship, which gives substance and direction to the life of the aspirant. Love constitutes core of discipleship. The relationship between perfect masters and disciple is an inevitable outcome of intrinsic conditions in in the life of the aspirant. It is primarily a relationship between lover and his divine beloved. From the spiritual point of view, it is the most important relationship into which a person can enter. The love that constitutes the core of the discipleship stands by itself among the different types of love that prevail in ordinary social relations. Mundane love is an interplay between two centers of the God unconscious. Wow, I'll read it again. Mundane love is an interplay between two centers of the God unconscious, whereas the love implied in discipleship is the love of the God unconscious for the God conscious. Whereas the love implied in discipleship is the love of the God unconscious for the God conscious. Everyone is God, but some are unconscious of their divinity, some are partly conscious of their divinity, and a few are fully God conscious. Those who are conscious of their divinity can have no idea of the God state. Those who are unconscious of their divinity can have no idea of the God state. They are only conscious of the body state. In order for them to inherit the God state, they have to love, worship, and be guided by the Master, who is constantly dwelling in the God state. Supreme claim of Master. The love that the aspirant has for the Master is really the response evoked by the greater love the Master has for aspirant. Important point. It has to be placed above all other loves. Love for the Master naturally becomes a center power in the life of the aspirant because he knows the Master to be an embodiment and representation of infinite God. All his thoughts and aspirations, therefore, come to be woven around the personality of the Master. The Master thus has unquestioned supremacy among the claims recognized by the aspirant. And it is through the supremacy that the Master becomes the focal point for the radiation of spiritual forces, which dispel all darkness, pluck out the sins of the heart, and initiate the aspirant into a life of freedom and truth consciousness. All love leads to master, as in story of Majnu and Laila. The fundamental requisite for the candidate who would be a true disciple is an unquestioning love for the master. All the other streams of love ultimately join the great river of love for the master and disappear in it. This is illustrated by the story of Majnu and Laila. Majnu loved Laila so intensely that every moment of his life He was filled with thoughts about her. He could not eat, drink, or sleep without thinking of her. And all he wanted was Layla's happiness. He would he would gladly have seen her married to some other person, if he felt it to be in her interest. And he would even have died for her husband if he had thought he would thereby be happy. The utter self denial and sincerity of his love ultimately led him to his master. Every second of his life, Majnu thought not of himself, but of his beloved. And this lifted his love from the physical or intellectual level and made it spiritual. The spiritualization of his love led him to the divine beloved. Purification through love and surrender. The master is the divine beloved, and when the disciple meets his master, all that he has to do is to love him. For if the disciple loves the master out of the fullness of the heart, his final union with him is assured. He need not worry about the quality of his love. He should love in spite of his weakness and not tarry till partly he can purify his own heart. The master is the very source of purity, and to set one's heart on the master is the beginning of self-realization. When the disciple,
Self-purification.
of self-purification. When the disciple has wholehearted devotion for the master, he opens himself to the reception of the divine love that the master pours upon him. All his weaknesses are consumed in this fire of divine love, of which he thus becomes the recipient. If the disciple is to be free from all weaknesses and attain incorruptible and infinite purity, he has to dedicate his life to the Master without any reservations or provisions. He must offer his weaknesses as well as his strength, his vices as well as his virtues. There should be no ifs and buts about his offering. His self surrender must be so complete as to allow no room in his mind for even a shadow of any secret self desire. Value of faith. Complete self surrender and unquestioning love become possible when the disciple achieves unswerving faith in the Master. Faith in the Master is an indispensable part of true discipleship. Once God is realized, there is no question of faith at all, just as there is no question of faith when a man knows himself to be a man. But till this state of realization is attained, the faith that the disciple places in the Master is his most reliable guiding light and is comparable to the rudder of a ship. It is not correct to the disciples to describe faith as being blind, for it is more like sight than like unrelieved ignorance. Nonetheless, faith is short of direct experience until the aspirant realizes God for himself.
Jai
It is
Baba, Karthik, can I suggest that faith in the master is indispensable? One second, can you just go up a little bit? So this sentence, faith in the master is an indispensable part of true discipleship. My suggestion is that we can underline this or highlight this, is what I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you brought up a very important point, Ashok. As long as we are in the gross plane, it is mentioned in the sevenfold veil in God Speaks about convictions, right? The three different kinds of convictions. One conviction is to experience the God, that is the final part. And the sixth plane must, they see the God, conviction by sight. And conviction of the gross plane people is only faith and belief. That's the only thing we have. How do we know that Baba is God? We don't know. It is just because we love him, we believe him. We have that faith. That's all we are depending on. Actually, unless we evolve into higher states of consciousness, we don't really experience that Baba is God or whatever, that God exists or not. We have the faith and belief. I think those two important, very, very important for us, especially those in the gross plane. Jai Baba.
Nurul Yakin, Hakkul Yakin. There's four Sufi terms for the same.
Yeah. What is the fourth one, Karthik?
It's the fourth one is Hak-ul Hakim. Hak-ul. Yeah. Hak-ul. That's experience. That's experience. That's the last one.
Yeah, experience and seeing and faith and conviction.
Yeah, I think. I don't know about faith and conviction. Last one is experience. First one is sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys are interested.
Jai Baba. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to finish one thing.
Yeah, finish that, Ravi. Finish that, Ravi.
Yeah. By the way, next Friday, 6:30 to 7:30, if any of you are interested, I'm going to be giving a talk on sevenfold veil of God Speaks. I'll send you the link. Whoever has time, please attend. Bombay Center, Bombay Meher Baba Avatar Meher Baba Bombay Center.
Very nice. And as it works better, please send a reminder 15 minutes before on the group.
Yeah, I'll send you one day before. Yeah, sure.
No. 1 day is too late. We are all diffused minds. We don't have that much.
I'll put myself an alarm 15 minutes before the talk. Yes.
Exactly. You've noticed I do that, right? Because all of us are living as slaves to our devices. I'm not saying this in any positive or commendable manner. I'm just saying the reality of our lives. So it makes sense to remind people. So if at that time they are free, they jump in.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Go ahead, Kama. Sorry.
Yeah, Kama.
Yeah, Jai Baba. So my understanding is one of the questions to the forum is what is the difference between a follower, a devotee, and a disciple? I mean, these are all just definitions, but the other part is that I think first it starts with belief. Belief and faith are different. Belief is the beginning of faith, but faith happens when you have the grace of the Guru, Guru Kripa. And I think in Discourses, there's a chapter on faith where he says three kinds of faith. Number one is faith in yourself. Number two, faith in the perfect master. And number three, faith in life. But definitely, faith in oneself can only come with the grace of a master. So that is one kind of faith. And the third one is basically a disciple. A disciple is somebody who is actually has got Guru Kripa, and he tries to love, obey, surrender, and sacrifice, as we know the LOSS. So first starts with love. The devotee is in love, but then obedience, as Baba said, is the gift of the obedience is the gift of the perfect master. Love is the gift of the beloved, right? And whereas surrender is the gift from the beloved to the, from the disciple to the beloved. So in a way, there are different stages for faith. Beginning, faith is probably the result of following and then
audio is gone.
Perfect master. Now, oops. So what I'm trying to say here is that as Ravi mentioned, when you're in the sixth plane, you see God, and it's the domain of mind with feelings. And in the fifth plane, also you see God, but it's the domain of mind with thoughts. And then, of course, in the other four planes, we know it is about the sound part, and the sight is only during the fifth and sixth plane. But sound is something that plays a big difference during the first to the fourth plane, apart from others, which I'm not able to articulate right now. So, conviction is something that Baba said you can have full conviction only when you have the grace of the master. So, personally, for me, my own journey when Baba came to me consciously in New York was an intellectual exercise from 96 to 2009 when I first came for the first Amartiti. Then 2009, I got conviction because I still had 20% doubt. But then Baba turned the key and the intellectual became experiential. To me, that became a conviction. And so I guess all of us have gone through this process because some people get the conviction immediately. Some people go through different stages and different periods. So it varies between different aspirants, how devoted you are to the perfect master, or whether you become a disciple or devotee or just a superficial follower, kind of stuff. Jai Baba.
So what is your question? You started with the question.
He's
You
talking about the
wanted the
faith.
feedback of the
And
group or
He's talking
the
about
disciple
question
follow.
was the distinguish between devotee, follower, devotee, and discipleship. So I think in this chapter about discipleship, disciple is somebody who has not only started loving but is in the process of obedience and surrender, whereas a devotee is still not that got that conviction. So disciple is somebody who has the conviction of faith, complete faith in the perfect master. So there is a difference between a devotee and a disciple. That is my understanding.
I think to me, um they are very loose terms, or at least from a Baba sense, they can be used synonymously. And the test is only the whether you're a lover or not. Till then, you're in the periphery, right? So till then, it's just dictionary terms, according to me. So, and the lover is a high bar. It's not easy to be a lover because Baba has said, we just read it this morning, right? So that's my personal
Yeah.
opinion.
So discipleship is your effort, and when Baba blesses you with his love, then you actually end up loving him. But disciple is a synonymous to the complete surrender to him. That's what I think. And before that is just follower.
Follower.
Just follower means you're just tracking around what is happening. It's a very initial stages, and then you become a disciple once you have the complete conviction and that faith in you, and then you become a disciple. And that role of being a disciple is basically uh, just follow him without any ifs and buts, as Hafiz says. Just do whatever he says to do, and then you become a disciple. And lover you become only after his blessings to you. My understanding on this. Jai Baba.
Kama, I just love Baba. I don't know whether I'm a follower or a disciple or whatever I am. I don't. I'm not sure where do I fit into your category of these three different things.
Yeah.
But one thing I remember recently, I happened to attend a Swami talk. He was talking about the faith. There are four different faiths in the Vedanta. The first faith is you have to have faith in yourself. That's most important. Otherwise it's very hard to proceed. The second thing is you have to have faith in your religion you follow. In the scriptures you read, whatever the books we read, discourses, God speaks, whatever. We have to have faith in that. And the third thing is you have to have faith in the your guru, your master. And in our case, Baba is our guru, you know. And the fourth thing is, I forgot what it is, the fourth thing. Same thing, Baba, whatever Kama is saying, the three things: yourself, your guru, God, and yeah, God, and the scriptures. These are the four faiths that are important for us. Jai Baba.
Okay. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, I just want to read something that I have sent this earlier. It says, this is by Baba. It says, belief, trust, and faith are all illusory phenomena, if not based on conviction through personal experience.
Wow.
Ignorant persons seek to point out the faults and weaknesses in others instead of finding them in themselves. And for some to criticize truth is their life's work, for when they fail to gain it, they grow despondent and turn against it. The apparent is not real. Under a many lives' complicated problems are hidden some of the simplest truths which the veil of ignorance obscures from human vision. Do not bother about believing in me. Be prepared to believe in your own self. Have faith in your own capacity for longing for truth. Only then will you know truth in its pure and infinite simplicity. Only then will you come to know who I am. Meher Baba, Jai Baba. So that kind of sums up.
Excellent. Superb reference. Where did you get it from?
I think it was probably sent in one of the WhatsApp group messages, and I copied it and put it in my How to Love God category, So that's, I have it in me. I'll send it in our group thing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, we can continue. Sanjay ji, or we can rotate as well if anybody wants to jump in and read.
Yeah, I
You
can
read
read.
Karthik. Yeah, Ravi.
Sure,
Yeah.
I will read. Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is
And then
not for
Ravi.
nothing
Yeah.
that all the religions are referred to as faiths. One of the essentials of the aspirant's life is that he should have faith. Faith may express itself through diverse forms, but from the psychological point of view, they are one and the same thing and cannot be diversely labeled. The only differences in faith are differences of degree. Faith may be strong and vital, or weak and lukewarm. A weak and lukewarm faith does not carry a person further than adherence to rituals and ceremonies. But a strong and vital faith is bound to take the aspirant beyond the external forms of religion, helping him to eschew the husk and get at the kernel of true spiritual life. Faith reaches its natural climax and goal when it comes to rest in one's own master. I repeat, faith reaches its natural climax and goal when it comes to rest in one's own master. The illustration of the story of Kalyan. The faith of the disciple must always be securely grounded in his experience of the divinity of the master. He must not be like a straw carried anywhere by the slightest breeze. He should be like a rock that remains unmoved in the severest of storms. The story of Kalyan brings out the meaning of a really sound faith in the master. Kalyan was a disciple of Swami Ramdas Samarth, who was a perfect master at the time of Shivaji. A master loves all disciples alike, but some might be particularly dear to him, just as an individual loves all parts of his body, though the eyes may be more dear to him than his fingers. Swami Ramdas Samarth had many disciples, but his favorite was Kalyan. The other disciples did not quite understand why Kalyan should be dearer to the master than the others. One day, Swami Ramdas tested the devotion of his disciples. He asked all his disciples to come to him and pretended to be sick as to be on the point of death. He had placed a mango on the joint of his knee and bound it in a bandage so that it looked like a huge swelling. Swami Ramdas pointed out to this swelling and told the disciples that it was a malignant tumor and there was no chance of his living unless someone sucked the poison from the joint of his knee. At the same time, he made it clear to all that whoever sucked out the poison would die instantaneously. Then he asked whether any disciple was prepared to suck out the poison from the swelling at the cost of his own life. All the disciples hesitated except Kalyan, who arose immediately and began to suck from the swelling. To his surprise, Kalyan found sweet mango juice and not poison, and Swami Ramdas praised his unswerving faith and self denying love. To be willing to die for the happiness of the beloved is true love. Such implicit faith, unfaltering love, and undivided loyalty as that of Kalyan can come to the disciple only through the grace of the master. Lovely. So, two illustrations, and in both the illustrations, the common thread is utmost. Obviously, there has to be faith, conviction, and all of that. But both the illustrations underline how love should be selfless and total. Selfless being key, where you dissolve the self in in the love for your master and put him above everything else. So that's what I'm taking away from these two illustrations.
J Baba, uh, I think it can also be linked to the seven realities in terms of real love and real surrender. Anybody
Yes.
want? If you want, you can just put it on a note or something.
Yeah, yeah. So let me continue. Master realized by serving him. Undivided loyalty to the master does not introduce any narrowness in the sphere of the disciple's life. To serve the master is to serve one's own self in every other self. Very important line. Undivided loyalty to the master does not introduce any narrowness in the sphere of the disciple's life. Such a beautiful thing, because you can be tempted to think that, am I doing something which makes me smaller by surrendering to someone who's bigger? But then that's what Baba's pointing out here. Undivided loyalty to the master does not introduce any narrowness in the sphere of the disciple's life. To serve the master is to serve one's own self in every other self. To serve the master is to serve one's own biggest self in every other self. The master dwells in universal consciousness and wills universal spiritual well being. To serve the master is therefore to participate in his cause, which is to serve all life. While sharing in the work of the master, the disciple may be required to be in touch with the world. But though moving in the world in accordance with the work allotted him, he is in inward contact with the master as infinite being. Therefore, by sharing in the work of the master, the disciple comes closer to him and becomes an integral part of his consciousness. Serving the master is the quickest means of realizing him. Sharing work of master. The service that the disciple can offer the master is not only linked with the universal cause of humanity, but is one of the most potent means of bringing the disciple nearer his spiritual goal. When the disciple's service is spontaneous, wholehearted, selfless, and unconditional, it brings him more spiritual benefit than can ever come by any other means. Serving the master is a joy for the disciple, even when it means an ordeal that tries his body or mind. Service offered under conditions of discomfort or inconvenience is a test of the disciple's devotion. The more trying such service becomes, the more welcome it is for the disciple. And as he voluntarily want, sorry, and as he voluntarily accepts physical and mental suffering in his devoted service to the master, he experiences the bliss of spiritual fulfillment. Allegiance to master. The sense of undivided and absolute loyalty to the master is made possible by the right understanding of what the master is and what he really stands for. If the disciple has an imperfect grasp of the true status and function of the master, he is likely to set up a false antithesis between his own higher self, biggest self, and the master. As a consequence of this antithesis, he might create in his mind an artificial and imaginary conflict between the claims of the master and other claims that seem legitimate. A disciple should be aware from the very beginning that the master only requires the disciple to realize his own higher self. In fact, the master symbolizes this higher self of the disciple and is none other than his higher, biggest self, which is the same one, reality in all. Thus, allegiance to the master is only another form of allegiance to one's higher, biggest self. This does not mean, however, that merely formal allegiance to the higher, bigger self is in any way an adequate substitute for allegiance to the master. The disciple cannot have a clear perception of his own higher, bigger self until he is God realized. And often, that which comes to him as his duty is really a prompting of some samskaras interpolating themselves between the higher, biggest self and his field of consciousness. The master, on the contrary, is one with the higher, bigger self and can make no mistake about right valuation. Our favorite word is back, valuation, values. Yeah, so this is, I think, cases of conflict. The disciple, therefore, must always test his own promptings by means of the standards or orders given by the master. In the event of any conflict between the two, he should thoroughly re examine his own ideas to discover the points wherein they might be short of perfection. Almost always, a little reflection is sufficient to perceive the basic harmony between the true dictates of his own higher, biggest self and the requirements of the master. If, however, on some rare occasion the disciple is unable to reconcile the two, he may be sure that he has either not properly understood the dictates of his own higher self or that he has not properly grasped the import of his master's requirements. In such cases, the master gives latitude to the disciple to follow his own conscience. The master may sometimes give instructions with the intent of preparing his disciple for a higher mode of life. It is under such circumstances that the disciple finds himself confronted by an apparent and temporary variance between his own inclinations and the master's instructions. But usually, the master does not give any instructions for which the disciple has not had inward anticipatory preparation. Two things to take away from these two paragraphs. One, just you will never comprehend what the master wants you to do. Just do it. Second, the master will prepare you for what he is asking you to do. So again, rule number one. So rule number one is just blindly do anything. Rule number two is he will only tell you to do something that you can handle. So don't question rule number one, right? So that's what I'm taking away. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, this is similar to Hafiz saying that board is there in that Baba's room.
Yes.
Yeah, don't question.
Don't question, because it is not in ours to know. Meaning of true discipleship. The master is supremely impersonal and always his only concern is to remove the veils between the consciousness of the disciple and his higher biggest self. Therefore, there can never be any real conflict between the allegiance of the disciple to his master and his allegiance to his own higher biggest self. Indeed, at the end of his search, the disciple discovers that the master is none other than his own higher biggest self in another form. The master, in his utter impersonality and unhampered divinity, is so complete that he has no desire. In relation to the disciple, all he requires is that the disciple reconstitute himself in the light of the highest truth. To become a disciple is to begin to tread the path leading toward the spiritual goal. This is the meaning of true discipleship. Amazing. Good stuff. Any comments? Any thoughts? Any questions?
See, Baba trained the Mandali so strictly to be so obedient. If we read their episodes, we get to understand how we have to be. At one time, we have no idea how to be a master, how to be a disciple to a master. But Baba, through his practical incidents, showed how one has to be obedient to the master. That's a good guide for us to read the Lord Meher.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't think we'll start the next chapter as we will not be able to finish it.
Yeah.
So so we can probably stop recording if there are no more questions and hang out for a bit. Okay.
Indrani ji can come out and give us an introduction.
Yes.